you're not too old to be healed.
No, I really, I'm not into that. That doesn't bother me. I don't believe that.
I needed to say it anyway.
Good. Thank you.
You are welcome. Hands. Right here.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
A number of well-known channels and psychics have been talking about next year as being a particularly dramatic year.
Traumatic or dramatic?
Well, actually both, for the Earth, and I was wondering if you have any comments on that.
It's news to me.
Thank you.
It's a good way to keep people coming back for more information in order to be prepared. I have said that any changes, earth changes that occur, will be evidences of healing and will therefore be greater and greater evidences of harmony. So, do not buy into the crepe hanging that is going on. I encourage you to look at this world with the curiosity to see it for what it really is, which is the kingdom of heaven. Love it. Love it by not projecting upon it your fears. It's just like your body. You don't want to project on it distrust, that it on its own can act at odds with you and not in your best interests. That's not love, that's hate. Your body is the visibility and tangibility of your individuality, and your individuality is the presence of God. I didn't say your ego was. Your individuality is the presence of God. Therefore, great appreciation and honoring and respect needs to be expressed by you or embraced by you relative to your body. And the same thing with your world. Because the only way you're going to see your body as it divinely is, and the only way you're going to see the kingdom of heaven that you're currently calling the world as the kingdom of heaven, is when you are looking to see the kingdom of heaven there instead of some prediction coming true. You see?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I'm glad you asked. Hands. Right over here.
And that holds true for all the terrorism type of thing that we're hearing about what's possibly going to happen, et cetera, et cetera.
You are going to have to learn to listen when you hear what's on your TV. You're going to have to go within to ask, is this propaganda? Or do I really need to pay attention here? And I don't just mean propaganda from the Mideast. I mean propaganda from Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. cannot afford to have you lose interest.
I felt that same way about the seeming epidemic of breast cancer. It seems like the medical can't have us lose interest, and there just seems to be so many things that seem to want to have our attention all the time.
And money is at the bottom line. Yes. Yes. You must be very wise if you do not want to constantly be feeling threat and fear. Is that clear?
Yes, thank you.
You are welcome. And right here.
Just to continue, my perception of this same issue is...
A little closer to your mouth.
Can you tell me what really is going on with evolution and extinction? I mean, that's the way I see the Earth changes. To me, of all the things going on, the extinction of the species seems to bother me the most. And the idea
Well,
of
don't
evolution...
be bothered too much, because every single expression of God that has ever existed exists today. Every idea of God is eternal. And extinction is only a perception being experienced by those who have limited their focus of attention to a very narrow part of the kingdom of heaven and decided that what they're looking at is not the kingdom of heaven, but the world in space and time.
So,
there is only
evolution?
creation constantly unfolding. There is no such thing as evolution. Nothing is evolving into something else.
That clarity is disrupting me.
Excellent. Now let me tell you this. Dinosaurs, having been determined by your scientists to have been particularly dumb, are the full expression of the Father as well, with nothing withheld. And communication is as full with them as you perceive your and my communication to be. In fact, fuller. This leaf is fully capable of communicating its meaning, its purpose, and the fullness of its existence to you, if you were willing to sit and give it your attention from within. It is not unconscious. So, everything that exists and everything that has ever existed still exists and is fully I'm going to say fully empowered. It fully embodies the Father.
dinosaurs embody the Father fully now?
Yes. The simple fact is that if dinosaurs could become extinct, so could man, and therefore so could you. But you are eternal. And so are they.
So you and Buddha and the dinosaurs
Walk
are
together.
walking together now with us.
Exactly.
And we're just blocking a lot more of that than
Right, and I will tell you this, the dinosaurs are awake.
along with.
So in a way, they're better company than you. Only in that our communion is complete because they aren't keeping themselves separated off.
That's a great answer.
That's because it's the truth.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hands. Yes.
So, I spend a lot of my time thinking about how to keep my life simple,
How to keep your life simple?
and to walk lightly. These are troublesome beliefs that I feel need healing. I feel like I think it's appropriate to keep my life simple so I create time, or so I allow time. Wait, let me rephrase that. So I allow myself the opportunity to be present, so I don't get complicated in my life. When you talk about the ongoing foreverness of everything that has ever existed, I'm just having a hard time wrapping having understanding of that in the sense of why I seem to energize such pain around environmental issues. I want to just get unplugged from that, those beliefs.
Well, let me say this. You want to keep your life simple. What you need to be careful of is that being simple, that you not let being simple mean becoming uninvolved. Keeping your life simple means learning how to listen for what is appropriate for you. Learning to listen for guidance, in other words. Learning how to feel the impulse of love that the Father is being right where you are, so that it can be allowed into expression in terms of involvement. Involvement is not going to be sitting there meditating. It's going to be you involved with your brother or sister, your fellow man, in other words, in a healing capacity. By being the presence of that which promotes their growth, being the presence of that which inspires them to look at themselves a new way. It means helping the ones who are experiencing hardship while remembering to love those who aren't and to be involved with them as well. so that the ones who aren't experiencing problems are not faced with having to cope with loneliness. You see? So, becoming simple within yourself is going to open the door for you to be more fully involved in your world on behalf of your respect for it and your ability to recognize God in it, and therefore the appropriateness of having reverence for it and treating it well. Again, just be careful that you don't let the simplification of your life become the way you are uninvolved, or a means of being uninvolved. I cannot put it any more simply.
Yeah, I have a sense for that. I definitely see how I've done that. And
The reason I say it is because involvement is going to be messy some of the time.
mm-hmm.
And it's going to seem not to be simple. But your involvement in the mess of being present with someone working through their reluctance to conceive of themselves better, that is something you can only do from a place of simplicity within yourself. So you can't say, oh, I must have lost the simplicity of my life if I find myself in the dynamics of someone else's struggle with their enlightenment. Not everyone you witness for is going to agree with what you're witnessing for. When you see potential there that they don't see themselves having, they are likely to balk and resist what you're saying. But you can't afford to abandon them. And so you must discover your capacity for patience, compassion, and willingness to hang in there with them, loving them while they're having this miserable experience called enlightenment. Only perceived to be miserable by them because it's forcing them to embrace something that's beyond their belief of what can be true about them. But still they need someone to inspire them to conceive of the possibility that there is more that is wonderful about them than they're currently willing to believe is true about them. And so that can sometimes seem messy. It can sometimes seem like an unfulfilling activity because it's taking so long for them to get it. And that helps you arrive at a point where you realize this isn't about how long it's taking them to get it. It's about me realizing that time doesn't matter because I have nothing better to do than be the presence of love forever. And then being it by hanging in there, being involved. You see?
Yeah, let me see if I understand something. Specifically, I'm thinking that what you're saying seems to be operating from more of the sixth sense, if I may. More intuitive, more in the presence of the moment with the Father, with each brother and sister. As long as I stay in that movement, which is becoming so obvious when I'm there, it's great. and the movement is miraculous, moment into moment. I want to know if there's any value, because I seem to get distracted by the five senses of my environment, of concerns and things, politics or, whatever, the myriad of distractions. And I'm just wanting to know are they truly the distractions? See, I tend to simplify it by saying I need to be the movement of the Father's expression, which is love, which is being present with this person, which is, like you said, being involved, being the willingness to be intimate with this person. And that's where I feel my attention needs to be. But I get emotionally pulled by these other things, and I'm just, if you could address that.
It's a call for you to be even more in your peace. I've used the illustration of the Venetian blinds in a window where there's no glass and there is a breeze. If the slats are open, which is the equivalent of being undefended, the breeze can blow through and only cause a gentle movement of the blinds. But if the slats are closed, which would be the equivalent of defendedness, then the breeze moving through the window will jangle the Venetian blind wildly. Whatever it is that you would determine to be a distraction, you must learn to be less defended against, so that those distractions become part of what you're willing to embrace from the simplicity within you. You see what I'm saying? The call is not to be so sensitive that you can only be present with a tiny, tiny part of the kingdom of heaven that seems to be unlike the kingdom of heaven. Paul has had to learn, especially when it comes to gatherings, not to be offended by, let us say, the activities that occur during breaks where everyone is chatting and not necessarily about the subject matter that has been discussed at the gathering, and eating and socializing, and because he was trying so very carefully to stay on the beam with me, which didn't have anything to do with eating or chatting or socializing or what happened last Tuesday in somebody's life, that he found it difficult to remain in his peace if he didn't leave the room, to be where he could be quiet and not be faced with life. And he had to learn that it was not appropriate for him to define what was going on as incompatible with his being in the simplicity of his being. And that, in fact, these manifestations of life that seem to be totally irrelevant to spiritual matters were nevertheless life happening, and those individuals expressing themselves were the presence of God being. And I helped him to realize that he had to embrace them without defining them as ungodly or being inconsistent with the energy that he was trying to stay in. You see what I'm saying? So, you need to learn not to be so sensitive to the dynamics of life, that the dynamics of life become to you a distraction from being with them from the simplicity of you, as well as the specific place you are wanting to give your attention to from the simplicity of you. You see my point?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I see how, in effect, could use those as justifications to not feel safe in the world also.
Indeed. And as well, that if you want to carry it to an extreme, that all of this distraction is really the dark forces trying to keep you from your divinely appointed task of remaining utterly clear, utterly aware of only the truth. And now you have an extreme polarization within you. And the ego then can carry that even further and say, wow, because you are getting so much distraction, you must really be advanced and you must really have a great work to do, else you wouldn't be getting so much resistance to it, so much distraction. And you see how it all gets crazy. The call is for including the things that you would determine to be distractions from the simplicity of your being. You see?
Yeah, that's very helpful.
Yes, it is.
That's when you were talking about all aspects. That's when you were talking about all aspects, to include all aspects.
Indeed. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we will take one last break. Hands.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Thank you. Nice to be here. I have actually a question that's more of a novelty question, so I may or may not get an answer. But all my life I have expected to be married.
Pardon?
I've expected to be married. And although I've met nothing but nice guys, it just never felt right. And I've been accused of being too particular, and I'll go with that, but still the feeling was never right. So I guess my question is there ever going to be that right feeling?
Yes,
I'm okay if it's no.
I understand. But the answer is not no.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Okay. Hands. Yes, right here.
This is kind of back to what we were talking about before the break. I'm wondering if you can help me. I think I'm staying in my head a little too much and having a hard time really feeling fully what you're describing. And my question comes up specifically in the realm of politics right now that just feels so. There apparently is a lot of extremes between light and darkness. And I'm trying to find out for myself at what level, obviously in each moment, but also in general for me, at what level is it appropriate for me to